we know that the egg prices are down due to recent market trends. So, why do you think the demand is low at this time?
Well, some of it is seasonal. We get past Easter egg hunts, and so we tend to see a little less kind of seasonal demand. We don't have holidays that are really big baking holidays, that really drive a bunch more egg consumption or demand. We think of Memorial Day. Here we are at that and that. We think more of that kicking off summer and grilling season more than kind of baking and egg season, if you will. So some of it is just some seasonal slacking in demand that normally happens this time of the year.
And then because of that, supplies are also are high, So why is it continuing to rise?
Well, you know what? That's a function of record high egg prices. So we had record high egg prices in January, and it was, we all were talking about egg prices, outrageously high, really due to the effects of high pathogenic avian influenza that wiped out a lot of egg laying chickens. And so we had this unexpected cut in supplies because of the disease, and that led to record high prices. And so record high prices tell us to do something. That's a market at work. And high prices tell producers to produce more, and it tells us consumers that to buy less, both of which work to bring down prices. Now, with chickens or cattle or anything else, in agriculture, it takes time. It's not an instantaneous process, yet now we see the fruits of that where egg producers are producing more eggs, production's going up, and all of us consumers have responded by buying fewer eggs. And so now we've got some rapidly dropping prices. Wholesale prices last week, as reported by USDA, were 84 cents a dozen. Some of their retail price data from last week suggested that there were some featuring and specials going on where $1.08 per dozen were reported in retail prices. So, that's something, I think we're really going to see the benefits of some lower prices to all of us consumers in that food item.
Yeah. Because back in January, I believe they were almost like $5 at the grocery store.
Right. So the monthly retail price data that goes into the consumer price index got to, I think, 482, by far a record, almost $5. And in the wholesale market, that spot market for eggs, it was over $5. And so really driven by tight supplies. And so, now we've got wholesale market prices at 84 cents. That's the lowest in 2 years. You got to go back to July of 2021 to find egg prices that low. And so, as the CPI data continues to come out each month as our indicator of inflation, eggs, that portion, there's something there that we're going to see some declining prices going forward.
And you were talking about the avian outbreak back in February. Now that these trends are showing that demand is low and then supplies are high, would you say that producers are now have recovered from this outbreak, or are they still being affected by it?
Well, I think they're still being affected by it. Certainly, if you were an egg producer and you got hit with avian influenza and it wiped out all your chickens, you didn't have any eggs to sell at record high prices, and so it was pretty devastating for those producers. And that recovery is, probably still going on and has a ways to go for them. Now, if you happen to be a producer who didn't get hit with the disease, uh, fantastic. Now you may have had eggs contracted at a lower price, but if you were able to sell some in the spot market at these record high prices, and as contracts reset higher due to higher market prices, certainly we had some egg producers in the news reporting record quarterly profits, and that's just that's a market at work, and the response is to produce more, and that's what we've got going on now. I should say too, while egg production is increasing, we're not back to where we were prior to avian influenza hitting really throughout 2022. So we're not back up to where we were yet, but we are growing in terms of production.
Yeah, and that kind of, I guess, can push me to the next question. What do you see looking forward in terms of these egg prices? Because you said it was seasonal, but maybe the consumer response may have to do with it, or
Yeah, so one of the things we ought to expect is the lower prices that we're starting to see. Uh, it would appear that we're going to continue to increase production uh, going forward, getting back to some levels that we saw a year or 2 years ago in terms of production. Yet that also is a market looking for balance too in terms of profitability for producers. If egg production isn't profitable, we're not going to produce as many eggs. Now we're coming off this time of record profits, but these 84 cents in the wholesale market is pretty low, and so that'll lead to maybe slowing that production growth a little bit. Uh, and just as producers and consumers and this market always is looking for this balance and always moving. One of the things I think in our favor is for us consumers longer term across all of livestock, meat, dairy production, egg production is that it would appear we have feed costs that are falling. Corn prices are going down. The expectations are for a very large crop this year and lower prices for corn and soybean meal and things like that. That's what we feed all of our livestock. And so with some lower feed costs, then the total that production cost is coming down, and we would expect that would eventually over time to lead to some lower prices across all of that, all of our livestock agriculture. And so, I think over time there is there's some help there coming as well. But again, in food production, it's not instantaneous. Anytime if you got a listener who grows a garden, it takes a while to get from seeds to a tomato. So
and with every supply and demand cycle, we do you expect that we'll definitely get back to where we were maybe 2 years ago or so?
well, I would think so. This gets these falling prices. If we thought of protein, for instance. A lot of folks, one of the trends in diets and nutrition over the last few years has been a recognition of folks wanting more protein in their diet, and eggs are a great source of that. And if we think of protein itself, eggs and meat really kind of compete in this protein space, right? So eggs actually became so expensive. Some of the other meat items were a less expensive source of protein. So now we're going back the other way, right? And so lower prices will stimulate consumption. So lower egg prices will get us consumers to go to the store, be pleasantly surprised, and we'll buy eggs. And then, as we go through the year, here we are at the end of May, but it won't be that long, and we're talking about fall and our Thanksgiving, Christmas, and really baking needs increase, and so that leads to a lot of seasonal demand just from more baking and things like that. So there are seasonal patterns within the year, both on the production side and the consumption side, the demand side.